Good morning, everyone. This is Becky. Hello, here at Aunt Beck's Creations. And today we're just going to catch up on some things that I'm working on. This was the first project we pulled from this jar. We'll revisit this once I get this to the next step. If you guys remember, this was the charm blocks that I picked up at the thrift store. I had 2 charm packs. They were like $4 for both packs. And then I went in my stash and I paired it with another fabric to make the little triangles in the corner. Hi, Melanie. So what I've decided to do with these is I'm just going to do 2 small baby quilts with these, just to use these up. And right now I'm going to set one quilt aside, and I need to plug my little demon iron in. This is from Amazon. Do not order these. You put the water in here, and then when you set it up in between what you're ironing, the water all comes right back out there, scalding hot. So don't buy one. I just use it dry. I don't put any water in it because it's nuts. It gets really, really hot, which is great for pressing quickly, but it's not good for any kind of steam work because you will get burned really bad. So that would be my review of that. I'm going to put it almost to max, but not quite. I have put 3 pins in one row, 2 in one, so that I remember where they need to go. Yeah, that's what they're saying now. And most of the times it just wears it out. So this is what the strips look like that I have. And I'm not going to be able to get them on the whole screen. But this was the pattern I came up with. And I'm just going to flip this over. And I know most people do the press to the dark. I have started just pressing them flat out. And I've found that my corners meet better when I press them flat out. And the finish is so much better. So I've switched back to doing just pressing them flat. But before I press this seam that I just sewed flat, I want to what they call set the stitches and just press it in place. And what that does is that sets the stitch down into the fabric a little bit better. And I'm sorry, I have a runny nose. It's just allergy season. Again, you get fall allergies, you get spring allergies. And I'm going to go ahead and set the stitches on this other seam where I joined blocks. It's basically 3 blocks were joined together is what I'm working with. And then we'll open it back this way. And this that you see here is a homemade pressing board that Scott and I made. It's a piece of plywood with batting stretched over it. And then it's got a canvas over that. And you bring it to the back and staple it around. And then it's got wool felt here. And it's come loose a little bit. But these are great if you go to events where you need a portable ironing station. And super easy to make. Doesn't cost a ton to make either. And I'm going to get that center open and then just gently push it down flat. Use my thumbnail. Get it almost there, and then I'm just going to press straight down. I'm not going to iron back and forth, just up and down. Just lift it a little bit and move it up. So when I'm moving it, it's actually off the fabric. then I'll flip it over and press it on this side, just so it all lays nice and smooth. Okay, then I'm going to go to that next seam that I've already set the stitches. And if you see where it's starting to lift a little bit before, you can always just press it back flat. I just don't want to get on that pin I have there because this is the first row. And then I'm going to do this again. Get this started here in the middle. Work my way out to the edge. And then do it this way. And get those fibers to bend. Okay. And then we'll start setting it down, moving it along. So I got to do this to each of the strips, and then I'll join the first row to the second row and get it pinned up. So after I sign off, I can just go over to my sewing machine and sew these in place. Okay. I'll flip this back over. So this, where it's pinned, is my first block across. So I'll join the second row underneath here. All right, so I'm going to set this one aside because it's all ironed, and do the same on this strip. These were a collection of fabric. I should have brought the card over for them. I don't know if it's still available or not. Let me go get that card because some people might want to know what the fabric collection is. Oh, and I guess I should show, because I don't think I shared this in a video either. The little bit that I cut off from adding these to here, I created this 10-inch square or block. But this is all the little offcuts from this. So even your tiniest bit, these were 1 3/4 inch squares, and or little tiny blocks, and I put them together, and I started in the middle and added a fan, and then I took one of those and made a fan there and there and there, but I just changed out what I added, and I did that as I went out. So this blade is part of this fan, and so on, out to the edge. So that's what you can do with your little pieces. And that will make a pillow. All right, this is called Stonehenge Stone Chips by Linda Ludovico and Deborah Edwards. And this was the Sand and Surf there. And if I can find it, I'll try to remember to put a link to the fabric if it's still available somewhere. I want to go ahead and set this one. I think I'm going to go all the way up on the heat just so I can do this a little quicker. The only thing is I have a tendency of burning my own fingers with this little, I just call it a little demon because that's how hot it gets. So Scott is left for work already, and Greg will be getting up shortly. And we got some news yesterday. I'm going to share it here. Greg's, my son's very first ever girlfriend, that we almost thought they'd be together, type situation until they broke up. But we've stayed in contact, even though they had a kind of messy breakup, but they turned around and just became friends. We found out that yesterday she was murdered by a boyfriend that came after Greg, that they had broke up and she had started seeing someone new, and he shot her yesterday and killed her. So we are pretty sad about it because she was just turning her life around. She had a new job. She was doing so good, and I was really proud of her. And I just, like I said, we stayed in touch. And Greg called me and said that one of her family members had called him because he had left to go run some errands. And he told me, and I had to sit down. I was in so much shock. I just couldn't believe it. She was also raised by her grandma, and her grandma lived to be over 100 years old, but she had passed away a couple of years ago. And then last year, she had lost her father. So it was down to just her as in her smaller family unit. And she was doing all she could to get her life turned around. And then this happened. So never take a day for granted. You just can't. You can't take a day for granted. You never know what kind of crazy is going to walk into your life and take you away. So, and I think I need to move on from talking about her because I'm going to start crying, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to upset Greg when he gets up. So anyway, I wanted to share that because she really meant a lot to us for a number of years. They were dating. So it's just really sad. All right, so this was the second row because I got 2 pins in this block. So this block will attach to the one I just did. And I've got little hedgy here. So I'm going to move this down toward y'all. I'm going to bring back the one that I just did. And we are going to hook the second one to the first one by just taking this one and flipping it up over top here. And then I'm going to match up my seams. And this is another reason why I've quit doing the whole iron to one side or the other. When you iron it flat, you don't have to worry about if you don't get the huge bump on either side of it. It's like it lays it flat, and it just works. To me, it works out better. And I'm putting a pin on the side that goes under the presser foot first so that the presser foot doesn't get caught on it. And I'm not real worried that, some of these come up above the seam, the edge. Yeah. I just want to make sure that this pin is going through both this one and this edge here. And then I'm going to put one where the corner squares are underneath here. And make sure my pins that mark my rows are not in my way. And I'll put one here where this corner square is. There's one right here. Just want to make sure my fabric doesn't flip under either. And that'll hold that from when the feed dogs come along, that'll keep that from flipping up. I can control that a little better. And my grandma raised me. My mom just was not ready to be a mom at all. All right. Go. I'm going to go ahead and get my third row ironed, but I'm not going to attach it to the second row until I get the second row attached to the first row, but I'll have it ready. And this will be basically one baby quilt. Let's see, I need a measuring tape. This is a 3 row by 3 row, so 9 patch, 9 blocks. Oh, honey, just go lay down. You don't have to stir up trouble the entire time you're in here. My rows are about 25.5 inches wide. So it'll be a 25.5 inch square, and then I'll add borders. And I need to look up the standard size of a baby quilt. I have a little guide, but it's in the other room. But I think that would be a nice size to just lay over a baby in a bassinet or stroller. Don't you think? Like a 30-inch quilt. Wouldn't that be a good size? I think it would be. Or on their carrier, car seat. But Scott and I were talking yesterday, and we both agreed that we've got so many supplies around here that we need to think first about our supplies, and then second about going to purchase an item to finish a project, because we have so much stuff. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, but I'm going to go ahead and press this row, the third row, so it's ready to attach to the second. And then I've got that other one. So I'll be out of those two, like $3.99, $4.99 charm packs that I got, I'm going to get 2 baby quilt tops out of it. I will have to shop my stash for a border for the to go around the edge. Cole's trying to go out on the porch. My cats are all out on the porch. They won't like it. There may be cat rage. A typical baby quilt measures around 30 by 40 for a classic baby size, while a larger standard crib quilt is about 36 by 52. See, I was just thinking of the smaller one, so 30 by 40. So I could add a narrow sashing down the sides and then put a wider border at either the top and the bottom to come up with the 40 inches. So let me write that on my paper. Thank you, Lala. I'm going to write it on here. Baby quilt. $30 by 40. Once I get these ironed and pressed, I want to show you how far I've gotten on the little knitted baby sweater. It's coming along pretty good, but I don't know about you guys. As I've gotten older, I think it's arthritis, but it's not my joints that hurt. My joints don't hurt. It's this section in between the bone. The bone hurts. The pain is right there. And they say, oh no, it's in your knuckles. I was like, I feel this pain. I know exactly where it hurts. So I don't know. This hand, I got completely slammed into a door one time. And I think it damaged the outer part of the bone on these. Because, I mean, that door slammed and shut completely and then popped back open. I thought I was going to pass out. We had a storm coming in and we were running around because it was when Greg was little. We were trying to get his yard toys, into the the storage room, because we only had like a little storage room on that house. We were just trying to get them inside so they wouldn't blow away. And that I went to go in the kitchen and I reached up and grabbed the door jamb and it closed on my hand. Oh, I had to sit down on the kitchen floor. It hurt so bad. So I'll have to shop my stash for something to go with this fabric. The little brown fabric I used is some I picked up when I worked at Joann's. It was one of the standard quilt beige fabrics that was in the book that we could order in from. If somebody wanted like a full bolt of a particular fabric, we could see if it was one of our regulars by looking in that book. It was the book we used to scan, for outs. The things I still remember from working there. It's just crazy. All right, I'll move this down. So this one will be all ironed, and all I have to do is press out this other seam I just pinned up and then add this to it. And that's why I've brought the jar back so we can draw the next project, because I think I'll finish this one, these baby quilts. I think I'll finish those up this week, at least the tops. And I guess I'll just start making these type of things. And then if I hear of somebody having a baby, I'll have some gifts ready to go, won't I? We're not social butterflies, so we don't have any friends that come and visit and that kind of stuff. That's just not the kind of people we are. And I've tried inviting people to dinner and this, that, and the other. And you know what? I'm looking at this and it almost looks like I sewed this wrong, but I'm going to leave it because it's sewn and I'm this far along. Not going to worry about it. The baby won't care. But I feel like this one needed to be where this is, but hey ho, we're going to go with that. So that one will go with the one I just pinned together. And then I've got another one here. And this is row 1 of that one. And we'll quickly iron these and then pin the 2 rows together. Hope you guys don't mind watching me. The crochet baby quilts are going to be for your great grandchildren. Oh, wow. We don't have any grandchildren. A lot of kids are deciding not to have kids now. They want to have their adventures. It's like my nephew and his wife. They've been to for their honeymoon. They went to Greece, and I think last year they went to Japan. And they both enjoyed it so much that they were trying to get jobs in Japan. So I don't know how that's progressed, if they were able to get jobs and are moving there. My nephew married a Chinese girl that was adopted, and I think they've been to China too. I don't know. They're both really smart, my nephew and his wife. So I'm sure whatever they decide to do, they'll make it happen. Hi, Josie. Hi. Welcome. How are you? I haven't been over to your channel in a long time. I've just been so, I don't know. This last month, I've just been kind of, I don't know, trying to decide what to do with our dog. Scott's mom is, I don't know. We go every Sunday to visit with her. We would go more often, but she gets really upset if we try to visit more often because she thinks somebody is thinking she needs to be checked up on, which She really does. But she's going to be 98 years old next month. And quite frankly, I don't think she eats very well. She keeps telling me she hasn't been to the grocery store in 3 or 4 weeks. And I said, well, call David, because David told me weeks ago that he would take you. And she goes, oh, I don't have my list ready. And I'm like, what? But you need food. Just go and buy. You don't need a list. Just go buy what you think would be tasty. Oh, I gotta have a list. And it's like, why? Just buy what you think you'd like to eat. At this point in your life, it's just you. Buy what you want. I guess old habits die hard. Oh, that's sad. Our little dog, her digestive tract failed, and she could eat, but she couldn't pass anything. And I just couldn't watch her suffer anymore. I just couldn't. So we had her put to sleep this last Monday. And boy, the price for that has gone way up with the new vet. I think our other dog that we had to put to sleep because she got a cancerous tumor, it was like $75. It was $250 this time. But this vet says she doesn't agree with the way our previous vet had done it with just shooting the medicine into a vein. She starts an IV so that the medicine goes straight in and there's no suffering, that the animal is calm. And I'm like, and then she wanted to know if I wanted to stay with her. And I said, I can't stay with her. I did that for a couple of our cats, and I just can't do it. I just can't stay with them. I feel horrible. I feel like they don't need to be alone at that time. But if you've ever had to do that, it's gut wrenching, especially the little black cat we had to put down because there was something major wrong with that cat. I don't know what was wrong with her. I think it's because she got stuck in a hot car for a full day before Greg could get her out of the inside of this girl's car. And then the girl refused to take this cat back home with her, where her mother could have taken care of her. She was really too small to be away from her mother. It was just a mess. But anyway, when I had her put to sleep, I stayed with her, and that was horrible. But they assured me that they'd have a tech sit with Bernadette, and we just had her cremated with other animals, and her ashes were dealt with. I mean, I could have brought her home and just buried her in the yard, but I didn't want to do that either. Now, you'll notice this block doesn't have a triangle on it, and it's kind of a different color. It's because I ran out of squares to have enough blocks to create it. And this one's going to be a little weird because that block didn't finish out like the other ones. But we're going to make it happen. But anyway. Yeah. Yeah, Bernadette would walk in circles in the backyard and she was deaf, she was blind, and then she couldn't eat. It was awful. All right, so that's row 2. So we'll bring row 1 back here. And we'll flip row 2 over onto row 1. Cole thinks he's being sneaky. He's out there eating my cat's food. It's him and Piper usually eat in the bonus room, but he thinks it's hilarious if he can eat my cat's food in the kitchen. Okay. And I've been thinking about my grandma a lot the last couple weeks, and missing her. She's been gone since 1992. She died in her 80s. She was born in 1908. So it was amazing that she took me on in 1964 and raised me. She wanted to adopt me to make, the legality and care easier. But they told her she was too old. She saw me through to my high school graduation. She saw Greg when he was a baby before she started, losing her mind. Hey, no fighting. Kids. Howard, you're being naughty. He's blocking the door. So Callie wants to come back in, but Howard's like blocking her. I'm going to get a spray bottle. All right. I might have to trim this one before I start sewing this block because I can't see the edge of the other block. We'll see. All right. So those are the ones I'll sew together. So the last thing I need to do is press the two seams on this one. We'll be done with the hedgehog and the pressing mat. This one's acting like it got stretched a little bit, so I don't know. I might have to, there might be some fighting with this block. Oh, wow. See, the very first time I ever stayed with one was our cat that we got when we got back from our honeymoon. And we had him for 17 years. And I stayed with him. And I was by myself. Scott wasn't there. He was at work. And I brought him home. You two have got to stop. Arch rivals. I came home and I cried for 2 weeks. And Scott kept asking me, do we need to get you some therapy? I mean, it was just like it was our first child, because it was the first animal we had as a couple. Well, no, I'll take that back. It's the first one we had as a married couple. We had a cat named Klystron before, but where we were renting in this mobile home park, they found out we had a cat and told us we had to get rid of him. So I took him back to my aunt's where I got him from, and somebody stole him. So we were going to get him back from my aunt once we got a new place, but then somebody stole him, so we never saw him again. He was the coolest cat. He slept on Scott's head when we lived in the apartment in our year of shacking up that about drove my mother-in-law to the moon and back. Oh, don't live together. That's horrible. We were like, everybody does it now. Everybody just lives together. And now the kids, they don't want to get married. I guess they don't want the legality of it. And I'm just like, yeah, but when you're married, if you can make it 10 years or more, you get your spousal survivor benefits from Social Security. You might want to think about it. Of course, who knows how long Social Security is going to hang on. We'll see. All right, so this is all ready to be added to that other one. So I'll just run that through the sewing machine, and then I'll add the other row. I'm going to turn this little hot thing off, unplug it, and I'll move this stuff out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the next project from that list of projects we put together. Let's see, where can I put this so it can cool off? Nicole, honey, quit being a jerk, please. You go get in your chair and lay down like you usually do in the morning. Oh, Scott got the quarter round down in that front room, so I'll have to unload the hutch. And we're hoping we can move it without it flipping. It's really tall and it's got all that glass in the top of it. So we'll see. So let's open our jar. And this is the first one we pulled right here, the stone chips. So let's see what we, oh, thank you. Let's pull one out and see what the next project will be. I think I've got one here. Nope, I got three. Hang on. Morning, Pam. All right, so let's put the lid back on. Well, I'll have to take it off. I'm going to staple this to this. Let's see. And we get number 1, project bags for the Monday Stitch group. And that is who I have right here is who has not received a knitting bag for me. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 people that I haven't made a bag for yet. So that will be on here. I need to date this. Today is 9/29/25. So I got to make some more stitch bags. I don't have any more of the cool sheep fabric. I wish I'd bought all of that pink that they had at Joann's before they closed. I just thought it was hilarious to have knitting bags with sheep knitting on it. So I got 7 of those to make. I don't know which style bag I'll make for them, but we'll see. I think, let's see, one of them I'll have to hold because it would go to Canada and they're on strike right now. So I'll wait on that one. And I've got a couple that I'm going to wait on. And one I don't really need to make a bag for because I already have a bag set aside for her. So yeah, I've got about 5 or 6 bags to make. All right. And I finally got the Christmas stocking mailed off to somebody. That's going to be a total surprise to who's going to get that. I held off mailing it until I could fill it with some goodies. Oh, Melanie had to go. Bye, Melanie. Have a good day. All right. So the little sweater is a Peyton's Bamboo Baby is what the yarn you're supposed to use. But this is a free cardigan sweater. And it's knit. And it's done all in just knit stitch. So it's super easy. And so far I'm working on the back. And I don't know if I'll make it for a boy or a girl. And that, because of the yarn, I guess it's more girly. I don't know. I am not using the Peyton's Bamboo yarn. I'm using some yarn that I thrifted. And I can't tell you what the yarn was because it came with no labels. And I'm working on it. So here's what I have so far. I think this is the right side. And this has to be 8 inches long before I do something else. And I'm currently at about 4 3/4. So I've got a ways to go on this one. And it's super easy. You're just knitting. I am kind of keeping track of how many rows I've done. So I've done 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. I've done 40 rows, I believe. And I looked up how to count knitting rows because I don't know that much about knitting. I'm just learning. So every row like here, when you do straight knitting, if I am understanding correctly, you have the 2 rows here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. 40 rows, I think. So, but the colors, they change just as you go along. And I think it's going to be a real cute little sweater. And it'll be another one of those that I can just put in my box. So I guess when I start working on the front, I'll decide whether it'll be for a boy or a girl, because the buttonholes have to go on the different sides for a girl or a boy. So that'll decide that. Did I need to put another project on needles or hooks? No, but that happens. Oh, Pastry Queen has come on. She's quilting this morning. In my sheepy knitting bag, this is the fabric I wish I had more of, but I don't. I have a little pieces. This has this is another free project. This one's from Lion Brand. Easy sleeveless top. You basically just do a front and a back and put them together. The name of this pattern is Cozy Cardigans by Peyton's. If you look up Peyton's Bamboo Baby Cozy Cardigans, this pattern comes straight up and you can print it off or save it to your computer and just pull it up on your screen. And this is the instructions right here. I might have to get with Vicki on what the next step is, but I'm going to wait till I get there. But anyway, this is the sleeveless top here. And it is easy. This is crochet. And I'm using the Peyton's Grace cotton that I picked up at the thrift store. And I'll show you how far I've gotten on that. And I'm adding the stripe myself because I wanted to use both the green and the blue. Don't pull that out. Pull that up. So this is the front. I think I'm working on the front. No, the back. This is the back of the top. I haven't gotten to the front yet. So this will be my back. And this is the wrong side of it. Sorry. This is the right side. So I worked a number of rows and then I put a repeat all in blue. And then I went back. And then when I was doing the armhole shaping, I just did it all in green instead of continuing the pattern. It would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could have done a strip of blue here, but I decided to just make it all the green. So this is how far I've gotten. I don't even know where I am in this, but I know how to count the rows in crochet. It's so much easier, especially when you're changing it and you're doing a pattern. So I'm doing 3 rows of green to 1 blue, 3 to 1, 3 to 1 through. And I just did this for the shaping under the arm. So it might look a little odd, but it's my own design as I go along. And we'll go from there. So that's my crochet that I have on the go right now. And then I've got the baby sweater I'm knitting. I really need a dry erase board where I could list the things that I'm currently working on. Hey, Vicki. I'll see how I like that top. I can't remember what the yarn was I was supposed to use. Let's see what they say you're supposed to use for this pattern. I don't always use the yarn they call for because I have so much yarn that I have thrifted that I've got to focus on getting used up. I'd like to reduce my stash of fabric and yarn by about 75%. So I could just like say, yeah, I've got a little bit of fabric, not a lot. So anyway, we're supposed to use the Lion brand Kobo, Coboo. So what I did is I went and looked that yarn up, and it's a 3-weight, and they're a 3.5 ounce, 100 gram, 232 yards per ball for the Kobo. And so what I did is I figured out this is a 136 yards. So you'd need 2 for every one of this ball. And I had a bunch of this. If you remember, I bought a whole bunch of this Payton's because it was an unbelievable deal. It was like $2.99 for a pack of 6 balls. I couldn't pass that up. And it's 100% cotton. We'll see how it feels when I get it finished. But if nothing else, it's something I could pull over a tank top or something like that. Yep, Pam's been fishing. She caught a great big fish the other day. That smile on your face was almost as big as the fish. What else do I have in the works? I have done some work in my field guidebook. I don't know who else participating in that with Ann, but she has a bunch of field guide books. That's Ann Lar. And she was offering to send them out to anybody that, wanted to play along. So let me get my book out. And this is just like random stuff I've set aside to put in here. So I'll do a quick flip of my little field notebook. Mine says reload, refresh, reimagine. So I'll put it this way so you guys can see it. And if I put something solid behind it, it would probably be better. My fingers hurt so bad. I don't know if it's from knitting or what, but oh boy. We'll just set this down under here. So it makes it a little easier to see from everything else. You're going to go see your mom today. Okay, awesome. So these are just magazine collage for the most part is what I'm doing in here. So I go through all those little magazine images and try to find things that are in the same color family, and then I'll just do a collage. So that's what these are, and then slap a magazine title or whatever off on it. Oh, Greg's awake.
Yep. Sorry about my alarm, folks.
It's okay. I can do anything. And the dog's going, this place is crazy. Look at all this stuff behind me. No. Bye, Josie. So let's see here. These, and I am trying to put my date on each one. I think I stamped it. It's stamped on here somewhere. I'm pretty sure I stamped it on here. If I didn't, I forgot to. Or it could have rubbed off because that ink, when you stamp onto magazine paper, sometimes it just wipes off. So this one, I just thought the images looked so good on the little graph paper that's got that same kind of blue-green that I didn't worry about covering the entire page. So that one says A Joyful Life. And then let's see, we skip a bit. And here's one here. It's your heart that takes you places. So there's the door, so the kitty could take off and go places if he wanted, but he's sitting in the garden here by this potting and food prep area, I guess, whatever it is. But I just thought that was kind of neat how they have a sink outdoors with a picture hanging and all. And it's got like a little roof over it. Kind of neat. And I did glue a little bit on the edges, so I'll have to pull some of the pages apart, but that'll be fine too. It pulls apart pretty easy. All right, Celebrate Wonder. And these right here were a sticker that Barb Owen had sent me. And I don't know her new last name, so she's still Barb Owen to me. So there's the fish. This is some kind of piece of something in the bottom of the sea, I think. That I did in August. Believe in Thyself. I really love this page with just the image of the woman there, and then everything else is kind of grayscale, and then she's sepia. Thought that turned out pretty cool. So if you wanted to play in a little book, get with Anne. She'll mail you one. Here we go. Fresh Perspectives. It's story time. And it's all kind of a sewing theme. That one was a fun page to do. And we'll skip a few pages. I don't do these in order because I don't want it to get crazy fat. This is One of a Kind. And I think he's lost his marbles because there's an ape there. I just thought it looked kind of funny. And see how on the magazine image, how my stamp, that was done August something of this year. But it just wipes off. That's the bad part about it. I think this is the last page. You've got the winning hand. So there's all these hands here on it. Those were in some color ad. And then there's the back. So my out of my journal looks like that. So that's my little journal. And when I'm not working on it, I've been putting this clip on to kind of force it to stay together. What time do we have? 7:14. So I think that's all I was going to share with you guys this morning. So there's that. And I'm working on this baby sweater here. And then I showed you the other sweater and the quilt blocks. So I'm going to go sew for a while. And I will see some of you over at Janet Nash's, I hope. And have a wonderful Monday. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, if not sooner. Bye.